getting close to noon o'clock. You missed breakfast and your stomach starts to growl. You say to your friend Ned, "I'm so hungry I could eat a cow." No. I could eat a cow. That's better. But could you? Really? Maybe you could eat a small slice of cow, or a couple of slices, but probably not the whole cow. What you've just seen is an example of hyperbole. That's right, hyperbole. Hyperbole comes from two words, hyper, meaning beyond, and bole, meaning to throw. But when you put these two together, you get hyperbole, which literally means to throw beyond. That's just the etymology of the word. So you'd like the real definition? Okay. First, it's obvious and intentional exaggeration, or an extravagant statement or figure of speech not intended to be taken literally. Now, where do we find hyperbole? Of course, in literature, as in this sentence, there did not seem to be brains enough in the entire nursery, so to speak, to bait a fishhook with, from Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. And of course, in movies, as in this description of the famous Austin Powers character, he weighs 1 metric ton. You can also find hyperbole in everyday conversation. If you say to your friend Ned, "Give me a pair of scissors," and if this is what Ned hands you, that's hyperbole. Sometimes you use hyperbole when you're talking to yourself, as in, "I will die if he asks me to dance." Even scientists use hyperbole, as in this example of the hyperbolic chamber, which will cast its light down through the centuries, making the Promethean fire that brought forth life on Earth seem like a brief and guttering spark. Hyperbole researchers have arrived at, without possibility of argument or refutation, the single greatest moment in all of creation, now and forevermore. Now let's take a brief look at the opposite end of the spectrum. The opposite of hyperbole is understatement. What, you may ask, is understatement? Well, here's an example. Say you take your parents' hot car out without their permission, and things don't go so well. You might use understatement in this situation, as when you explain what happened to their hot car. "Dad, it's only a scratch." Understatement comes from two really tough words. Under, meaning of lesser degree, extent, or amount, and statement, which means something stated, a declaration. Put those together and you get understatement. The real definition for understatement is a form of irony in which something is intentionally represented as less than it is. But what does understatement look like, and where else would we find it? Well, you find it at home in situations like this. Your mom says, "I don't think you like doing your homework, Jake." That's an understatement, or a statement that states the situation as a little less than the truth would suggest. You find understatement in everyday situations. Maybe you have just the slightest pimple on your face, so you say, "It's just a little bump." But what's really happening is your face looks like a war zone, like my buddy Ned here. Or maybe you were in a hurricane and your house just got flattened by the wind, and in order to describe it, you say, "I guess it was a little windy today." That's understatement. Or you win an Oscar for an amazing performance and you say, "I'm so pleased." That's understatement. One of the most famous examples was in the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The Dark Knight has just been in a sword fight. Now he looks like this and says, "It's just a flesh wound." Classic understatement. So today we've studied two new kinds of figurative language, hyperbole and understatement. I hope that you've learned everything you need to know about life from this presentation, and that you are able to chuckle slightly when you find out that this is not true.